Good morning, everyone. In software architecture class, today we are going to learn about chapter 24, which is about architecture competence. You know what is the meaning of competence? It is nothing but ability or skill. What is architecture competence? So, architecture's ability of the software and the skill of the individuals which is involved in this project. Okay, that is only we are going to learn today. In this chapter, we are going to learn about all these things, that is, competence of individuals, that is, skills of the individuals, duties, knowledge of architectures, and competence of the software, that is, ability of a software, and then organization. And finally, we are going to summarize all the three topics which we study. Okay, first we are going to learn about the competence of individuals, that is skills of the individuals, okay, or ability of individuals. So the ability of a particular person may have the skills, and that particular person will have certain duties and based on the knowledge. So what is the ability of the skill of the individual and the duties and the knowledge we are going to learn now. First one is the technical duties of an architect. So the architect will have the duty, that is technical duty and the other duties. So first we are going to learn about technical duty. Technically, generally they will have the architecture label. In the architecture, they will have some specific duties. That is nothing but first they have to create the architecture, then it should be evaluated and analyzed, and the document should be architect should be documented, and the working with the transforming the systems and performing the other architecture duties. Okay, this is about the architecting duties. Other life cycle activities will also have, so that will have the managing the requirements, implementing the product, testing the product, evaluation, future technologies, selection tools. These are all the other life cycle activities. That is technical duty. This is non-technical duty. This non-technical duty will have the management, business related duties, leadership, and then team building. Okay, so this management will about managing the project, people, and supporting the management. All these three things will come under this management. Organization and business related activities will have the support of the organization and the business. And if you go to team building, will have the technical leadership and they have to build a team. Okay, these are all the non-technical duties of an architect. Next one is the skill. Skill of an architect will contains the communication skills, interpersonal skills, work skills. This communication skills will have, whether they have outside the organization they will have the communication, or inside the organization also they have the communication. So that is about the ability of communicating with the inside and outside people will have the communication skills. Interpersonal skills was telling about the within the team, that is inside the company, within the team or within with other people they have to have a skill. Okay, and work skills, so they should have the leadership skill, workload management, and they have to cooperate the environment. Next, they have to handle the informations, and they should have the ability to handle the unexpected things also. So these are all coming under the skills of an architect. Next, knowledge of an architect. So this architect should have general knowledge area, computer science, and they should have the technology and the platforms, and they must have the organization context and the management. So computer science knowledge will have the architecture knowledge, software engineering knowledge, design knowledge, and programming knowledge. So they should have all these kinds of knowledge. When we go to technology and platforms, a specific knowledge on the technology also they should have, and general knowledge about all the platforms they should know. Organization context and management will have the domain knowledge, industry knowledge, enterprise knowledge, leadership and management techniques. So these are all the organization context and management. So organizational competence is telling about it is not enough for the architect to be competent. That is not enough to have only the ability. They should know the organizational setting is usually outside the control of the individual architects. So this architects must operate on the environment and they have to understand the environment. According to that, they have to create and nurture and reward the architectures. Next, examples of activities by a competent organization. Okay, so if you have the ability, okay, skilled organization means what are all the activities they will have. They will establish a career track of architects for architects. So the all the architects career track will be established and they will have a clear statement of responsibilities and authority for architects, and they will establish a mentoring program for the architect. They will have a program to to improve their skill. Okay, and they will have the training and education program, and they will include the milestones in the project plans, and they should have the input into the product definition, and they should advise on development team structure, and they should give influence throughout the entire project life cycle, and they will reward and penalize the architecture based on the project success or the failure. These are all the activities will be by a competent organization. Assessing an organization. Assessing means they are monitoring. So there are three practice areas that can be used to assess organizations competence: software engineering assessment, technical management, and organizational management assessment should be there. Next, organization should have the practices on quality attribute elicitation, tools and technology selection, modeling and prototype, architecture design, architecture description, architecture evaluation, system implementation, software design, coding, verification, and properties of the software. At last, they should have the practice on software testing, and they should have technically they should have the practices on business or mission goals, setting the goals, functional requirements, allocating resources, architect loads and schedule, funding, stakeholder involvement, project plan structure, aligned or architecture structure, and time planned for architecture evaluation, organization wide architecture, and monitoring and improvement, reuse, and collaboration with manager. Organizational management should have the practices on career track, architecture, leadership rules of the architecture, succession plans, ongoing plans, and creating and sustaining the internal community for architecture, and supporting participation in external communities, organizational planning, technology planning, and forecasting. What are the questions they should have with the competence categories? That is involved with how they can ensure the architecture aligned in the business goals. What is the input of this process and what is the output of the process? What kind of input should be provided to the architect? How the architect validate the information which are provided? And what does the architect do in case of input insufficient or inadequate? So these are all the questions as to be arised when there is with a competence of organizations. Assessment in practice, how they have to assess the products. Based on these kinds of questions, the skilled evaluators can assess the organization competence. The output is a list of strength and weakness. The weakness can lead to an improvement plan. So finally, individuals need have a particular knowledge on skills and architecture. This will lead to the better duty. An organization needs to provide an environment that support architects, that create new architects, and evaluates and rewards successful architects. All of this can be evaluated to help guide an organization to improve the organizational competence. So, with this, our class will finish today. The remaining topics will continue in the next class.